जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Shri Shri Mayapur Nagari Dham ki Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 8. Mayeva mana adastva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayeva Ata urdhvam na samshayaha Mayeva mana adastva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayeva Ata urdhvam na samshayaha Mayeva mana adastva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayeva Ata urdhvam na samshaya
Mayeva mana adasva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayeva Ata urdhvam na samshayaha
Does anybody else want to read?
Mayeva mana adasva
Mayeva mana adasva
Mayi buddham nivasaya Nivasishyasi mayeva Ata na samsaya
Mayeva mana adasva
Mayeva mana adasva
Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivasishyasi mayeva
Ata urdhvam na samsaya
Mayi, upon me. Eva, certainly. Mana, mind. Adastva, fix. Mayi, upon me. Buddhim, intelligence. Niveshaya, apply. Nivasishyasi, you will live. Mayi, in me. Eva, certainly. Ata urdhvam, thereafter. Na, never. Samshayaha, doubt. Translation of Bhakti-Yoga Prabhupada ki. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Purport. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Angum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swamini Namane Namacharya Padaya Nitaya Prapradayane Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Gramatarine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashvatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we have read this verse 12.8. The verses from 12.8 through 12.12, it describes about the different progressive stages of devotion. And this verse talks about the highest stage of devotion, which is engaging your intelligence in Krishna service all the time. Engaging in Krishna consciousness and always thinking about serving the Lord. That is the highest stage. So this verse actually talks about the highest level of Bhakti-Yoga. There are actually two types of Bhakti-Yoga. We'll see the second type in the next verse. But in this verse, it talks about the highest level where the devotee is engaging in pure devotion all the time. A very good example of this is Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, and he was one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana. Today being his disappearance day, I would like to quote some incidents from his life so that it will also illustrate this point of how one can always think of Krishna and engage in his service. So Raghunath Das Goswami, he used to live near the banks of Radhakund. And because the Radhakund pond was very small, he was always meditating upon increasing the size of the pond and renovating the Radhakund. So he also used to chastise himself that he is dreaming of something which involves a lot of money, and he did not have at that time. So he used to chastise himself for the same. And around the same time, a very wealthy sage, he actually took great austerity by walking to Badrikashrama in the Himalayas because he wanted to take the darshan of Sri Badri Narayana. So after having gone to Badrikashrama, he very reverently prayed to Lord Sri Badri Narayana and he offered a lot of wealth at his lotus feet. On the same night, Lord Sri Badri Narayana, he came in that sage dreams and he said that please take all this wealth and go to Vrindavana and give it to Sri Raghunath Das Goswami for renovating Radhakund. And if he does not accept this wealth, then please take my name and also remind him that he has to renovate Radhakund and Shyamkund. So this sage was very happy that he had such a dream. So he thanked the Lord internally, and after having gone to his home, he set off very happily to Vraja. And in Vrindavana, he met Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and he told all these incidents that had happened and he told about his dream. And at first, Raghunath Das Goswami was really taken aback, but then he immediately accepted, he gave his consent. And so the sage started working on redigging the 2 ponds and renovating them. And as the work was proceeding, there were actually 5 trees, because Pandavas had actually taken the form of trees and they were on the banks of Radhapur. So they were actually residing there, and as the work proceeded, they decided that they had to cut down all these trees. But on that night, because the next day they were supposed to cut the trees, so that night actually the 5 Pandavas, they appeared in the dream of Raghunath Das Goswami, and they said that please don't cut these trees because we are there in the form of trees. So then when Raghunath Das Goswami related this to the workers, they did not cut the trees, and these trees are still there in Vrindavana now. And so as the work was proceeding, and when the job of beautifying the pond was over, the devotees' joy knew no bounds. They were so happy, and also there were 8 kunjas of the 8 gopis near the pond. So these are still there in Vrindavana, and Raghunath Das Goswami was really very happy about the whole incident. So this incident actually illustrates to us how Krishna reciprocates. When a pure devotee always thinks about serving him, Krishna, through someone or somehow, he tries to fulfill the desire, helps him execute his devotional service better. And the second one is when Raghunath Das Goswami, he used to do bhajans and he used to chant on the banks of Manasa Ganga sometimes, Manasi Ganga. And at that time, this place was a very dense forest which was surrounded by very terrifying animals. And one of the time when Raghunath was meditating and chanting on Lord Krishna on the banks of Manasi Ganga, to Sri Sanatana Goswami, who came to meet Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami there, he happened to see that Raghunatha was chanting and doing bhajan, and 2 tigers came there to drink water from the Manasi Ganga, and they just sauntered off, because usually these animals, they don't just leave anybody who's sitting nearby. They went very close to Raghunatha, but they never harmed him. And after some time, he also saw that Krishna was standing near a tree and he was watching the whole incident. So we come to know from this incident that, when the devotee's thoughts always dwell on Krishna, Krishna also thinks about the devotee and he comes and protects the devotees. And so after this incident, Sri Sanatana Goswami actually told Raghunatha to build a hut and do his chanting inside the hut. But he did not he did not bother to get a kutir built very soon. So on another occasion, when he was actually doing bhajan at noon, and the sun was really beating down on Raghunatha's head, Srimati Radharani, she happened to pass by, and she saw that Raghunatha was sitting in the noon, in the sun, and so she went behind him and she held the end of her sari on his head to protect him from the sun's rays. And one of the Goswamis actually saw this, and they were so startled to see this. And so this heart-rending scene was so amazing to see. And as she was holding the sari for Raghunatha to protect him from the sun's rays, her transcendental body was profusely sweating. So this was really very heart-rending to see. And so that Goswami also, he told Raghunatha to build a bhajan kutir, and this time he immediately consented. So these incidents actually narrate to us how pure devotees always thinking about Krishna, and he's always in Krishna consciousness, thinking about how to serve the Lord all the time. And the Lord also reciprocates to the devotees in the same way. So these devotees actually serve the Lord with unalloyed, undeviated, and undivided love and devotion to the Supreme Lord. And there are a lot of other scriptures also which talks about these things. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhanavratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktiruttama, which means that a pure devotee does not have any other desire other than to serve the Supreme Lord, not even to cultivate knowledge or to have any material desires. And it says Anukulyena Krishna. Anukula is doing favorable things to please Krishna. He always does favorable things to please Krishna. And Bhaktir Uttamam. Bhaktir Uttamam is the highest level of devotion. So this is the highest level of devotion. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter and the 6th verse, it is said, Savai Pumsan Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adokshaje Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. Which means that the highest dharma or duty for all men in general is to render devotional service to the Lord in an undivided and unmotivated way. And it should also not be interrupted by anything. So this is the highest level of devotion. And also Bhagavad Gita itself in another verse supports this statement. In the 14th chapter, 26th verse, it is said, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate Sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. In this verse, Krishna actually uses the word avyabhicharena. So this word vyabhicharena, it means an unchaste woman or a prostitute. So Krishna goes on to explain that how a chaste woman is so devoted to her husband and she does not even think about any other man. In a similar way, a devotee is so attached to Krishna that he is not able to think or worship any other god. He is so devoted to Krishna all the time. So these verses explain also that how a pure devotee will be. So unfortunately, but not everybody is able to be on that platform because their mind and senses are still contaminated. So Krishna gives us a second option in verse 9, in the next verse, which is Atachittam samadhatum nashaknoshi maistiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya. Actually, in this verse, Krishna uses a very interesting word to describe Arjuna. He uses Dhananjaya, oh winner of wealth. Does anybody know what is the meaning of Dhananjaya, winner of wealth? Okay, so Dhananjaya actually refers to the context where Maharaja Yudhishthira was performing his Rajasvira sacrifice after establishing Indraprastha. So at that time, Arjuna, he went all over the country to establish Yudhishthira's dominance over the kingdom. And so, whoever submitted to Maharaja Yudhishthira, Arjuna made friendly alliances with them. And whoever did not submit, Arjuna fought with them, won over them, thus increasing the power and wealth of Maharaja Yudhishthira. That's why this word, Dhananjaya, or winner of wealth, is used for Arjuna in this context. So this verse, it talks about the second option that Krishna gives us. That is, if we are not able to think about and serve the Lord all the time in Krishna consciousness, then we have to follow the regulative principles of Bhakti-Yoga. And the regulative principles of Bhakti-Yoga is the second stage, and it is called as Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti is following some rules and regulations, not necessarily in a spontaneous love, but as a matter of duty. And this will help us actually awaken our dormant love for Krishna, and we would be able to move on to the spontaneous love of Krishna, that is Raganuga Bhakti. So the previous verse, 12.8, it talks about Raganuga Bhakti, and this is 12.9, which talks about Vaidhi Bhakti. And in this, most of us are following the Vaidhi Bhakti and trying to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. They consist of Bhagavata Vidhi and Pancharatrika Vidhi, the Vaidhi Bhakti. So Bhagavata Vidhi have 5 aspects. The first aspect is Bhagavata Shravana, that is hearing about the pastimes of the Lord and His pure devotees from devotees. And the second aspect is Nama Sankirtana, chanting the holy names in the form of Sankirtana or in the form of Japa. Then residing in a holy dham or Mayapur Vasa, that is the third aspect. The fourth aspect is Vaishnava Seva, that is serving the devotees of the Lord. And the fifth aspect is Archa Vigraha Seva or deity worship. So these 5 aspects constitute the Bhagavata Vidhi. And there is also Pancharatrika Vidhi. Pancharatrika Vidhi is the details of the procedures of worshipping the deities of the Lord. Like getting up early in the morning, performing Aarti and offering Prasadam and taking care of the deities. All these constitute the Pancharatrika Vidhi. And the Bhagavata Vidhi is definitely higher than the Pancharatrika Vidhi, in a sense that Bhagavata Vidhi in itself is enough to go back to Godhead. But because our senses are polluted by material desires and it's very difficult to conquer the senses, we also follow this Pancharatrika Vidhi in order to develop a higher taste. So the more we do deity worship, our senses, we can conquer our senses better. And we can develop a higher taste. Once we develop a higher taste, the lower taste automatically goes away. So this is a very natural process. We don't have to focus so much on renunciation. We just have to attach ourselves to Krishna and the detachment will automatically happen. And so this is the Vaidhi Bhakti and the Raganuga Bhakti. So this is Bhakti-Yoga. This is the highest platform. The Raganuga is the highest. The next stage is Vaidhi Bhakti. And in the verse 10, Krishna goes on to explain about how to, he says, if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So if one is not able to follow that platform, then Krishna gives the option of working for him. So working for him without any material motive. Like so many devotees serve the temple, they do service. For those who cannot directly do service to the deities, they help in so many different ways. This is how one can serve. This will also slowly perfect our desires. And the next verse, text 11, it talks about, if however you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up the results of your work and try to be self-situated. So there are a lot of circumstances where we are not able to even help the devotees who are serving the Lord. So in such situations, Krishna says that you can work and give all your earnings or give the results to Krishna. This is the next stage that he is giving, next option. So a very good example of these two verses would be how Hanuman served Lord Rama. He directly served Lord Rama. By doing a lot of service, he brought the Sanjeevani mountain, he did so many things to directly serve Lord Ram. But the other monkeys, they were also serving Lord Ram in their own way. They were fighting and they were even ready to give their own life for fighting for Ram. So this is the second way that Krishna was talking about in the verse 11. Of course, in the verse 12, in the last verse, it talks about how to cultivate knowledge. He says, if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. So when they are cultivating knowledge, they are not actually very surrendered, but they are trying to still explore what the truth is. And then better than knowledge is meditation. So meditating on the Paramatma, you can do simultaneously while you are also living in the material world. But he says better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of actions. You know that Krishna is the Supreme and you're not able to directly or indirectly serve him. So then the only option left is to give up the fruits of your actions for Krishna. And for by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. So this is the process that Krishna has given, the different progressive stages of devotion. He's given us a lot of options. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives a lot of options of how we can serve him and how we can think of him, how we can slowly attain his lotus feet. Sometimes devotees even complain that their chanting is mechanical. But actually this kind of mechanical chanting, when done sincerely and consistently, it can actually lead us to the stage where we are chanting with a lot of bliss. So although we start with a very with a duty-conscious mind, we can definitely attain that stage where we are able to spontaneously love Krishna and be in the bliss of Krishna consciousness. So with this, I would like to stop here and open the forum for any questions, comments, or add-ons. Please forgive me for any shortcomings that I may have exhibited during the course of my talk. Hare Krishna. Yes, Raj.
Mataji, I didn't understand the words you used to describe the gentleman that went to Bhadrik Narayan ashram. You said he was a Sikh?
Seth. Seth is a wealthy man. That's how they describe a wealthy man.
Seth.
In India. Seth, yes.
How do you spell?
S-E-T-H, Seth.
Oh, okay.
Sethji. Yes.
But he's not Sheta Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
I've noticed just in the modern world, there are a lot of people who have a difficult time understanding the book knowledge, to attain Krishna. Are there other ways to invite people to Krishna consciousness besides going by the books at first, just
Of
go at
course.
them? Yeah.
There are a lot of other ways, like how Mataji Haribani was talking about how another Mataji was distributing prasad, and she was talking about the Sunday Feast program and inviting devotees to the Sunday Feast. And also that way, some people, they don't even know what is there in the Bhagavad Gita, but they are very devoted to Krishna. So they do a lot of other types of services, like when they come to the temple, some devotees, they say that they're attracted to Krishna consciousness through prasadam. Some devotees, they say they're attracted to Krishna consciousness through kirtan, or they love music, and this kind of music has attracted them. And some other devotees, they are attracted with the service mentality. So many different aspects are there. It's not required that you have to know everything that's there in the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, but it's good to know if you can. But if you're not able to, still you can serve Lord Krishna with your own interest or desires. Some people have the desire to work for Krishna. They like to work. Sometimes they build buildings for Krishna, and sometimes they help with publications. So whatever your area of interest is, you can use that interest to help Krishna or serve Krishna and his devotees. So these are the different stages. So you can, whatever level you are at and whatever your desires are, you can choose and then serve Krishna in that respect. Did it answer your question, bro?
Yeah, it did. I just wasn't sure if there was a better way. Like, you eventually have to get to the book knowledge. That's what we're hoping for.
The book, the ultimate purpose of Krishna consciousness, that you have to reach to the stage of chanting spontaneously out of love.
Yeah.
That is the highest stage.
Yeah.
And this kind of reading and hearing, it actually makes our mind more sharper and clearer. It makes us strong. That this chanting is the highest process. It makes us strong. Otherwise it can become monotonous and we might not be able to chant with so much of faith. So this reading and hearing is going to help us develop our faith and increase our faith towards Lord Krishna. This is like sharpening a pencil. For an artist to draw something on the board and then he doesn't sharpen his pencil, it's not going to help. It's not going to make his picture clear. So when he sharpens his pencil and it becomes more sharper, he's able to draw things very intricately and he's able to make his picture look more beautiful. So this kind of reading and hearing is going to sharpen. You don't have to know the very high philosophy and to the depth of knowledge. Everybody is not able to go to that level. So if they are able to read and chant and hear, to keep themselves motivated to chant better, then the purpose is served. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for a very nice class. I have a question about the verse saying that to fix your mind and then also to engage all your intelligence in me as the topmost level. Is it that then emphasizing that person has to be like in a renounced order to come to this stage of just using mind and intelligence to please the Lord? Is it only persons who are totally renounced that they can do that, or other people also can do that?
Other people can also do that, in the sense that it should happen naturally. We cannot force ourselves into that level. But definitely, if we are able to come to that level where we are able to engage in the service of Krishna 24 hours and we are not able to think of anything else, then we are situated in that level. But mostly, people who are in the renounced order can do that better. But other people can also come to that stage. That's what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. It does not apply to one category of people. Just by a lot of practice and by engaging more and more, it's a spontaneous process. It should happen naturally. And then when one comes to that stage, he is not able to think of anything else. So that is when you understand that the person has reached that level. We cannot, artificially put ourselves in that stage. But definitely anybody can come to that platform, but gradually, it will happen gradually. It will take some time. It's a matter of time. Thank you. Yes, sir.
You mentioned during the course of your lecture that one of the 5 limbs of Bhagavata Vidhi is Archan, deity worship. And you also said that Pancharatrika Vidhi is also for deity worship. Mm-hmm. So is the deity worship same in both the Vidhis? Can you elaborate on that?
It's the same deity worship, but the Pancharatrika Vidhi is explaining the details and the procedures. So definitely it is also there in the Bhagavata Vidhi in the same sense, but just that there are a lot of rules and regulations in the Pancharatrika Vidhi. So when one comes to the platform of spontaneous devotion to Lord Krishna, the rules and regulations are not of the foremost importance. So Madhavendra Puri once said that forget all the rules and regulations, my mind is so fixed upon Lord Krishna that I am not even able to take a bath, or I am not even able to follow the rules and regulations. So when the mind comes to that stage of spontaneous love, the rules and regulations actually come behind. It's not really the foremost thing in the mind. The Pancharatrika Vidhi is for beginners, where they follow the rules and regulations are the most important thing for them, because their mind is not yet controlled from the material desires.
So we can say that in the Pancharatrika Vidhi, the deity worship is in the Vaidhi marg, and when the same, the deity worship is when it is in Raganuga way, then it's in the Bhagavata Vidhi.
Yes.
Is that what we can
Yes.
say? Okay, thank you.
That's right. Thank you. Yes, Mata.
I guess I know that this. I'm not making any kind of correction. I'm just trying to adding to what you said.
Sure.
Somebody might think when we talk about such an exalted platform that it's so out of reach that what to do, even get discouraged or frustrated. But we know, of course, that once I heard our Jayapataka Maharaj say it's the quality of being determined that attracts Krishna to devotees. So that's the thing. We just, like you're saying, it's not very many people that are on such an exalted platform, but it is attainable if we just stay with it, stick with it. And then another thing that occurred to me when you were speaking is how also our Guru Maharaj said when Lord Chaitanya came, it's when you take prasadam, there's a certain order that you take. I don't know what it is, but the rice and the shak and then this. But when Lord Chaitanya came, he said, "Here, take the sweet." Push the sweet in our mouth, and that sweet is the chanting of the holy name. So that chanting of the holy name is the very essence of what we do, and that's where we should really focus our attention. And then all these other things are the corollaries, that the tenets that help to support that. But actually, everything should be accompanied by the chanting of the holy name. So that was just a couple of thoughts.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you for the wonderful points.
And thank you, Saroja. It's so nice. There's a couple of ladies here that give class, but it's really nice for us to also give, from Mataji, because we have something to say.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to serve you. Anybody else wants to add something or comments?
And then I guess just one more thing, the fact that you mentioned a couple times how it's a gradual process. So many times I heard Guru Maharaj say, that's another thing that helps us from getting a little discouraged, that it's a gradual process. How many lifetimes have we been, suffering in this material world? So now if somehow, don't manage to complete the process, then how Prabhupada explained, so many times that we just pick up where we left off, but just to stick with it, no matter what.
Yes, that's true, Mata. And it's actually dirt accumulated from so many lifetimes. So much of dirt is accumulated in our heart. And Krishna says that when we are chanting, actually Krishna is digging out dirt from our heart and putting it out, digging and putting it out. So many different lifetimes we have accumulated, so many different samskaras, impressions. So we may think that, okay, yes, I'm fixed and I'm determined, but sometimes we may still, fall back a little bit, and then we understand that, we still have a lot of dirt. So it's a very gradual process. So the more we chant, sometimes devotees expect that, okay, I'm chanting Krishna's names, why he's not giving me any benefit? But it will take a long time, because we have done so many things which we may not remember, but Krishna knows all the dirt that's there in our heart. Anybody else to add something?
I just want to say that was a really amazing class.
Thank you so much, Mother. Okay, so we'll conclude here. Thank you very much.
All right.
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.